Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Jackson. I'm Director of Member Engagement at the Asheville Chamber, and we're going to give everyone a few minutes to log in to get on the call with us. Oh, wow, they're coming in quickly. Awesome. Let me admit. 5, 12. Just want a couple more coming in. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Good morning again. My name is Amy Jackson. I'm the Director of Development, Membership Development here at the Asheville Chamber of Commerce. I have Allison Blake and Elisa Van Allen with Soulku, and Mr. Sean Ainsley with TechLink Solutions, and Ginger Frank of Poppy Handcrafted Popcorn. Thanks again for being here. We are going to talk about online store setup and maintenance, and this topic came from a survey we did of our membership right as this coronavirus started happening. How can we change things up? How can we make it work while we don't have a choice? And this was one of the topics. If I don't have an online store, how can I do that? And if I do have an online store, how can I make the most of it while people are at home on their computers and perhaps shopping? So thank you to all of you for being a part of it. I want to tell all of you that are out there watching in, please, if you have a question, we'll get to questions at the end, but if you hover across the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A function. Please use the Q&A button instead of the chat button so we can pull those comments in and questions, and we'll go from there. I'm going to go from Sean to Ginger and then to the ladies from Soulku because I feel like they all have a different option, a different idea, a different perspective, if you will. Soulku sells jewelry to retail shops, other businesses in town and away from town, actually. And they also have a robust online presence, their own brand online, if you will. Whereas Ginger also sells to retail shops, gift shops, and has her online brand, sells wholesale, if you will, to grocery stores and places like that. And then Sean is the tech guru behind the scenes for shops online and stores and things that need help behind the scenes. So Sean, if I can start with you, if you will please go through, tell us about setup, systems that need to be done. One thing we were talking about yesterday I thought was very important is clear photography. And then as we go through, notifications for orders, who fulfills orders, just the process of what needs to happen as you start an online store and as you continue that online store. Please.
Yeah, sure. So, hello, everyone. I'm Sean Ainsley. I'm the VP of Engineering at TechLink Solutions. Today we're going to discuss about setting up an online store. So I have some notes here, as Amy alluded to from our conversation yesterday. So basically, when we start out with someone that's looking to go online, we really like to talk to them about kind of what their business needs are, kind of where they're at. There may be some challenges depending on the type of business. Some of the other participants will probably talk about this a little bit more in detail later, but there may be some challenges specific to your type of business that may make online selling easier or difficult. So that's one consideration, is kind of sitting down and just thinking through kind of what your current business model is. How would that look online? Obviously, there's lots of resources in our community that can help you with that. And then so once you get that out of the way, the next thing is really thinking about setup and what you're going to use. There's a lot of different tools, technologies out there to sell online. Depending on whether or not you probably have an existing website. So there may be a technology that will, like if you're using WordPress, for example, you can use their e-commerce solution that'll drop right into your website. If you have a custom website, you maybe need to set up something like Shopify that's kind of separate. Or if you're a very large enterprise, a very large wholesaler retailer, you may need something more robust like Magento or Drupal Commerce, which is typically used in larger businesses. So kind of evaluating what your current situation is online will help you to make a good decision about what your next step is as far as the technology that you're going to use is. And so piggybacking on that, once you kind of figure out, oh, well, I have a WordPress site, I can use WooCommerce, for example. So once you figure that out, then you really need to look at what kind of integrations would you possibly need. So this is going to affect how things are set up, long-term goals. We're in a situation right now where a lot of people are pivoting because of the situation, but ultimately this may be beneficial long-term for your business. If you go online and you haven't done this in the past, and it turns out well for you, planning appropriately now can really make you successful later on. So what kind of integrations do you need? Are you using some kind of CRM or inventory management system? Is there a possibility that the store can communicate with those? Would you like for it to communicate with those or not? Another thing to consider. Do you have a POS system? So this is, if you're a brick and mortar already, you're probably using a POS system, unless you're just writing down things on paper. But so if, what does the store need to integrate with the POS system? Does your POS system offer an integration at all? Is it even possible? In most cases, if you're using something modern, it is possible that the store can talk to the POS system. So those are kind of setup considerations. And then once you're set up, there's some other things that happen, right? When somebody comes to your store, places an order, somebody needs to get notified that person placed an order. So is that, just kind of related to integration, but is an email coming to your inbox sufficient for an order notification, or is there some system that you use that notification needs to go to? That's something you should consider, as to where that needs to go. Most people use, if depending on how their fulfillment process looks, they may use an email kind of starting out, and then later on integrate that with some other tool. And then, there's obviously the fulfillment question, like what happens, so now let's say you're not online right now, somebody places an order, how does that get to them, right? So what does that look like? So now we need to start shipping, right? How's that going to be handled? Are those shipping updates going to feed back? So, if the user comes onto your online store, they create an account, they buy something, do you want them to be able to get tracking and shipping updates? Those, maybe, maybe not. Most likely I think it's a common enough thing that you would probably want to do that because people kind of expect it. So you always have the Amazon theory, which is, on Amazon, they just do this, and that's what, a lot of customers and clients will tell you. I saw, this is, to them, it seems standard, but it is optional and something you would probably want to consider keeping your customers up to date for that good user experience with the shipping process, so they know when it's coming. And so, kind of with all that said, thinking about all these different things, it sounds, it was a decent amount of information. But thinking about those things up front is really going to make you successful long term. Online is it's not good for every business. There's some businesses that just can't sell online. Most businesses can, in some form or fashion, offer their goods or services online. So it's definitely, now is the time to really kind of evaluate where you're at, and if that's if that's a possibility for you. And I think, if it is, it's definitely, putting a little bit of time into at least doing the research to determine if that's a good next step for your business. So.
Great. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for that insight. That's a lot of things to think about at one time. So I'm going to pivot now to Ginger of Poppy Handcrafted Popcorn, and I'm going to throw in some props to the chamber. Poppy Handcrafted Popcorn, as well as Soulku, are chamber mentored businesses. We've given lots of help and information and growth opportunities. So we really appreciate their local energy, and we're proud to call them chamber members. And we'll go from there. Okay, just had to throw that in there. Ginger, tell us what's going on with you, how you've changed from your major retail business to online, and how you're, again, as we were talking yesterday, how you're keeping it online just to keep your brand available and out there, so to speak, and how you balance it, are you breaking even versus are you pushing enough to make money? Are you advertising enough that you have some orders, but not more than you can fill? And the product that you sell, popcorn, as we were saying, is not necessarily a shelf-stable item as opposed to other non-perishable goods. So tell us what's going on with you, please, ma'am.
Sure. So this has been kind of an interesting time for us, as it has been for everybody. When this kind of all happened, our business changed immediately. So for us, probably under normal times, probably 80% of our business is wholesale business versus 20% of it being retail business. And our retail business comes from online orders as well as our shop on Merriman Avenue. So the shop on Merriman had to close immediately because that was part of a non-essential business. So that closed on the 15th of March. That kind of all came up that week. That was the week that school closed, and kind of everything just kind of came out of nowhere. So we quickly tried to figure out, what the next few weeks were going to look like. We had oodles and oodles of orders that were ready to ship out for our wholesale customers. That week that also kind of experienced the same thing. They had to shut their stores, and so then all of a sudden, all of these orders that we were ready to ship out and collect payment on weren't shipping out. And we had the product made. Like you said, our product has a date on it. It doesn't last forever. It has a shelf life. And so we had probably, just that week, we probably had $70,000 worth of wholesale orders that were supposed to ship that then did not ship, or in between them going out in the transit process, those stores closed. And so then that product came back to us. So for the first week, it was kind of like a panic, oh my gosh, what's happening? What are we going to do? So one, we had a ton of popcorn that we needed to sell, or we were going to end up throwing it away. And two, we kind of had to quickly restructure. So we've always had a pretty decent retail online presence. It's huge during the holidays and the rest of the year. It just kind of is steady, but it's nothing that we've ever put tons of time and energy into, just because the wholesale's always been our biggest, the biggest part of our business. So kind of in just an attempt to sell all that popcorn that we had sitting there that was ready to go out, we decided to run a sale online and just see if we could sell through that product so that we were at least collecting something on it. We learned through putting that product on sale. I kind of thought maybe some of it'll sell. People will be probably holding on to their money, not spending money. I didn't really know what to expect. I was super surprised that that product like flew out the door. I think people were home more than they've been ever. And, you know, popcorn, snacks, kind of a comfort food, like we kind of were meeting this need that I didn't really even kind of know existed as far as we're concerned. I thought, you know, gourmet popcorn is going to be really low on the list of priorities for people, but it ended up being the total opposite. So once we realized that that happened, we were like, okay. I mean, originally I just thought, you know, after we sell this popcorn, we'll have to just shut down and see what happens in the world. But we just continued to get orders in. And so because of the way that our product is manufactured, our overhead is really high. We have a big building and we have lots of staff, and we have, you know, 3 locations to pay for between a store, office, and a production facility. So my biggest priority at that time was, how can I continue to pay people? That was really like my driving factor, was how can I keep paying myself? How can I keep paying the staff here? So for the first 2 weeks, like we kept everybody on staff that we could. But then as the social distancing thing came like really priority, like we had to kind of pare down simply because we work in such close contact with each other. So we kind of had to go down to a skeleton crew just to not be on top of each other. So once we were starting to kind of look at our online sales, we had to factor in how much popcorn can we make, how much popcorn can we package, what do we have to sell it at to at least break even and be able to write people paychecks. And that kind of became like our driving force. So unlike what you'll hear from Elisa and Allison, the making of our product is much more labor intensive and time consuming. So we have to balance out what we're putting out there, because we can only take so many orders and actually get them filled. So it's kind of this balancing act. So we have found that running a sale brings in lots of business. People are wanting a deal right now. They're wanting, while they're at home, they're on their computers, they're looking for some, you know, people are playing games or watching movies, and so like we're a perfect accompaniment to that. But they don't want, you know, they want a deal. We've noticed when we take the sale off completely, like the sales drop way down. So we had to kind of figure out, what can we sell this at to cover our costs and make it worth us doing this business? And to me, as long as I could pay the staff, that was worth it to me. So that's kind of like where our threshold is. You know, we're able to defer our rent and defer our utilities and things like that, but we want to really keep people's paychecks in their hands. So we found that just keeping it light and fun, people are looking for something kind of uplifting right now. They want something positive. So we're doing lots of social media, doing lots of contests and giveaways, and kind of trying to talk about, we're kind of now moving into doing some partnerships with other local businesses to just support our small business community. So I think for us, it's more about the whole mission right now, if that makes sense, than selling popcorn. Selling popcorn is like our vehicle, but we want to make sure that we're not going months and months without being on people's radar. We don't want them to forget about us. We want them to be engaged with us. We want them to know that we care about them. We care about our staff. We care about our community. And so it's kind of getting that whole message out rather than just setting up shop and selling a product. So I think that's kind of the key to success during this time. And honestly, it's the key to success during any time. But for us, we've started doing Facebook Live on Thursday or Friday afternoons. That 2 weeks ago was the first time I'd ever done one. I was so nervous. I thought like I was just dying. I was like, I cannot believe I'm doing this. But it turned out to be super fun. As soon as the Facebook Live was over, I mean, our orders were just like coming through one after another. People are home and they want something fun and entertaining. So we you know, we're not a serious product. We made it fun. We had happy hour, and so now we're doing it every week, and it'll be interesting. Like, part of me thinks, oh my gosh, do I have to do Facebook Live every week forever now? Because it's been such a great response, and it's definitely out of my comfort zone, but it's been fun, and people are missing interaction with people. And so it kind of like brings all of those things together. So I think the biggest thing to think about when you're setting up shop or trying to expand your online presence is, how much can you do and still get your orders out in a timely manner? How can you incorporate some kind of presence to include your community? How can you meet people where they are and what they need, and still cover your bases and kind of make it fun and light, because that's what people want right now. Like, everything is so heavy, like they need fun and light. So that's kind of my input on that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Allison and Elisa, I'm going to let y'all just take the floor however you want to between the two of you. But as I said before, you sell your products to retail stores and to gift shops in the same vein as the popcorn, but you also have had from the start, I think, with the presence of an online brand. That was your main go-to, main selling point to start with. As we talked about, you're telling us now is a good time to invest in ads. You guys have had great experience with advertising online. Also, the platforms for the website and the sales that you use, that, as Sean said before, the Shopify, if you'll speak to that a little bit as well. And then the outreach that you talk about doing, the emails, the newsletters, how you might pull from your users that use Square to check out their purchase, how you can pull their email and continue to keep them on your list, your Facebook posts, your Instagram posts. And then the discounts, as Ginger was saying, there are some opportunities for discounts. I want you to talk about your spinning the wheel. I loved that one. That's and the sort of the backwards cause marketing, if you will, the discount or the percentage that you might give back to a community member or someone in the community that might need something. So if you'd speak to those, that would be great.
Allison, you want to go, or do you want me to go?
Talk about the wheel.
Talk about the wheel. So the platform that we use is Shopify, and Shopify is incredibly easy to set up. You do not need someone else to help you. It's very intuitive, and really you can be up and processing orders within a day. We really love Shopify. With that, we also use another add-on plugin, which is called ShipStation, which is what we use to ship all the orders that come into Shopify. It talks to ShipStation, and that helps us get everything out the door. As far as discounts go, we have found for sure what Ginger was saying. People like a discount anyway. And right now, especially, they like a discount. We started a sale almost immediately, and we try and not do sales. We schedule out, I think, 3 sales a year, and that's it. But right now we felt like it was really important for us to make our product as accessible to everybody as possible, because Soulku was actually born out of the recession, and our products really are vehicles for comfort, for strength, for soothing, for connection, and so this is this is the time. Soulku was born for this, so we wanted to make it as accessible to everybody as possible by having a sale. And then recently, we started about a week ago working with our nonprofit partner, Open Doors. And so when you go to our site now, there are still some items that are on sale. The whole site is not on sale, but there are specific items that are on sale. But you will also get a pop-up when you check out that says donate $3, $5, $10 for this specific thing. One is for toiletries, one is for food, one is for a tank of gas. And that's been really incredibly successful. We've raised a lot of money during this time for them as well. But that's kind of far down the line to you starting your own website. So we do the Wheelio thing is what we were talking about that has just been incredibly successful for us. It's an app on Shopify. I'm sure there are other, you can probably find it for almost any website platform that you're going to use. But basically what it is it's some kind of gaming, I guess, that makes people release dopamine in their brain, but it's literally like a wheel that you spin, like a wheel of fortune, and it will land on what's your discount for today. Some people have if you land on this one, it'll buy one, get one free. You just have all these different opportunity to win something. And when you win something, you need to you have to put in your email address first, and then you can spin the wheel. So we are collecting your email address, and then you are being added to our newsletter list. And I don't know, Allison, do you want to speak to the newsletter?
Sure. I think as people are thinking about starting a website, or if they already have one in existence, during this time, it's really important to be thinking about your email list. And we are very conscious, we have been from the beginning, that these people are very important to us. Your email list is like gold. And regardless of what's happening with social media and other, advertising platforms, your ability to connect with your customers through your email list is really valuable, and it's really important to us. So one of the benefits of having people, log on and press their email address is that we have an opportunity to communicate with them in several different series of email flows. And we have seen a lot of success, not just in the first email that's mailed out every Saturday, promoting a product or something like that. It's the flow that happens and the additional follow-up emails if they've abandoned a cart or they haven't visited our site in 30 or 60 days. We have really been amazed by the power of our email list and our ability to stay connected with our customers and to reach out to them. We use Klaviyo, but there are several different email platforms out there, MailChimp and Constant Contact. Klaviyo is an incredibly robust system. And while it's not cheap for us, it has been well worth the financial investment. So I highly recommend really taking the time to research and find an email software that's right for you and your company, and invest, energetically time and energy into that, because it's been a lifesaver for us.
Great. Okay. So thank you all very much. I have a few questions to ask. I've gotten some questions to come in. I'm gonna see how. Ginger, I want you to talk again about the Facebook Live. That is a free option that gets people engaged. How do you advertise it? Do you do more than just Facebook to get people to come? Do you send your email list? How do you get people there?
So that's something I'm still definitely learning. So this week will be my third time doing it. I'm learning a little as I go. We just basically make a post during the week that we're going to have Facebook Live at what time. Right now is a great opportunity. So whoever likes your page or follows you on Facebook or Instagram will know about it.
Okay.
Right now, because so many people are home, it's a great time to get people to tune in. I mean, if this were like during normal times, I don't know that, I think it would take longer to build this audience, but right now you've got a captive audience. I mean, most people are at home and on their computers.
Right.
So, you know, the first week we shared it. I reached out to my personal friends and said, hey, will you share this on your page? We're going to do this week. I completely went into it with no plan whatsoever. And it was really fun. I mean, it was just, I can't even, I mean, you can like go back and watch one if you want to see how unprofessional it was, but, but we had a great response to it. And so it made me kind of realize that I didn't need to overthink it. I didn't need to like make some super structured thing, because I mean, it was just fun and people, so then I kind of started watching other people's and kind of learning how people do it. And you know, asking people to make comments. And so each week it's building, and then we're kind of thinking of fun things to keep people engaged. But I mean, the one thing that I've learned is that our customer base, and I'm sure the others will say the same thing, they're really looking for ways to support us right now. And because our retail store isn't open, a lot of people, especially local folks, are used to just being able to come in the door and say hey and get their popcorn, and they're not able to do that right now. So yes, they can order online, but it's still not that personal connection that Facebook Live kind of brings them, this personal connection. So I think it's more about connecting with your friends and family and customers than it is about selling something.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I think that speaks to the, I appreciate that it wasn't professional. It's hard to be professional online, if you will, right now. There are things you can do, but there are things you can't do. And the comfort and the warmth of oh, she's just a normal person. They're just having a regular business. That drives them to your online store, which needs to be able to handle, like you said, your sales went through the roof right after the Facebook Live. So I really appreciate that intimacy of just having your people there, and we're all people trying to figure this out.
I mean, you know, like last week, my kids were here with me. Like, so, oh, by the way, here's my kids, like, because they were with me at work that day. Or that's kind of really more what people want to see is like real life than necessarily you just saying, and this is the next product.
Right. And the marriage of that, keeping your product there online and making it fun to be able to access it is very important, I think. I have a few more questions. These are more technical, Sean. I'm coming your way. Do you have a checklist, so to speak? And do you have any specific suggestions that you would give for setting up an online store, as in the look, the clean format, not too much text, the navigation, ease, user friendliness? Do you have sort of any specifics you can add to that?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. It made me realize I missed one of my bullet points.
You're human.
Yeah. So so I would definitely try to work with a designer or design-minded person. They don't have to be a designer by trade, but somebody that has a good is aware of good aesthetics and good design. You know, that person that may be in your company that just kind of knows what looks good. You know, they come up with, they find the cool stuff, so to speak. You know, if you have the resources, hire a designer for the kind of to help you build out your store. If you already have a kind of a brand defined, then when in that process, I know with our company we would take style guides and branding guides and such and implement those into the store. So there's not a lot there, you know, because it's already been defined. But as far as the photos go, particularly for photos, you really need to have good product photos. Oftentimes, product photos are not great. They're not lit well, and it really does a disservice to your product. So that's the one thing that I would say. One of the main things I would say is that's your bread and butter. That's what you're selling. It needs to look good. So, you know, take the time, get some good photos, whether it's, you know, hiring a local photographer, or if you have a friend that's really good at photography, that has a decent camera. You know, I'd stay away from the cell phone pictures because they can be hit or miss. Although most cell phones are really good now, you want to consider lighting and such depending on the product. And so, now's the time when if you have a brick and mortar, a photographer can go in there in 3 or 4 hours and have their, they can have it all to themselves. And you know what I mean? I mean, so it's a good time to take photos of your products if you need them. So navigation, definitely user experience needs to be considered in the design process. It needs to be easy to use. Products need to be highlighted. Any kind of sale you're having, everybody on the call has talked about sales. We're running sales. It sounds like everybody else on the call is running sales right now. Those need to be highlighted. The user needs to be able to see that you have 20% off of XYZ product. That doesn't need to be hard for them to find. So clear and easy navigation is important. Another thing I would say is, and this is more of a technical thing, but site speed is very important. Mobile site speed is very important, particularly for cart abandonment and kind of people not checking out. If your site's running slow, you're not going to sell as much. That really needs to be a consideration, is that the site performance. How does it act? Even if it's a heavy processing site, even if it takes some time to process the data, is it indicating to the user that something's happening, so that they're not just wondering like, oh, is this stuck, or and Google ranks on site speed and mobile friendliness. So that's another consideration is, everybody's on their device, especially now, they're on Facebook and all these other social media outlets. When they jump off of Facebook onto your site on their iPhone or Android, it needs to perform well and be built in such a way that can handle that mobile experience well. So that's a big deal as well.
Great, thank you. Thank you. The next question, this is for the group. Sean, you can jump in if you want, but from the technical perspective of it, but for the others, does your website platform integrate with your POS system and inventory? What is the POS system you use and inventory accounting software? And do you have any insights about the integration of the two? How about Elisa, jump in.
That's a big one.
Okay.
Allison might be better at covering this one.
Okay.
Well, we ironically are in the process of implementing a very robust system called NetSuite, which will manage all of our inventory and all of our wholesale side of our business. All of our accounting will be within NetSuite. We will still integrate with Shopify for online e-com sales. We will also integrate with an external website that we use to process our wholesale orders. But NetSuite will be the central repository for all of Soulku. It is a little challenging right now as we are all working remotely because the system is not in place. So we are literally running our business off of Excel spreadsheets and hand counting lots of inventory on a regular basis. So that's not what I would recommend long-term. But for us, we decided that we took a big plunge and are excited to get started with NetSuite when we are all back in the office.
Great. Ginger, what about you?
We are super not advanced in that category.
You do spreadsheets as well?
I mean, we don't even really do that a lot. We go and look on the shelf and say, oh, we have 10 of those. I think as long as, especially right now, we have kind of limited what we're selling because we can only keep up with so much. And because we kind of make things to order, I think it depends on your product. I also think that right now people are super forgiving. Like, people can we've had somebody order something and we don't have it, and we call them up and we say, hey, like, we're out of that. We'll have it in like 4 days. Do you want to wait for it? Do you want to replace it with something else? I mean, people are like so sweet and forgiving right now. Like, you can get away with a lot of stuff. So I think like it's important, like if you're just getting started on these things, to not super overwhelm yourself with all of the rules and regulations of how you would like it to be versus what can you do to get started. You know, and that's, you know, go and count how many you have and put it in the system that day. I have 10 bags of this, and when that's sold, it'll go down to 0. We don't have, like, we're kind of in the same boat. We were just implementing this new system, and now that we have such a skeleton crew, like, that's kind of one of the things that's gone by the wayside. So I think in that you can just, you know, whatever works for you is okay. And if it's not perfect, like that's totally okay too.
Got it.
Yeah, I think in a situation like this, you know, we've dealt with e-commerce customers that have had these integrations where you check out online and it, you know, updates the inventory management system, and so there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of can be a lot of work in that, depending on what the systems are that they're using, the accounting system and such. But I think Ginger has a good point there. You know, this time that we're in is you know, really about pivoting quickly as an entrepreneur and then getting up to speed. So those things, those integrations are not going to allow you to get up to speed very quickly in most cases. However, they should be on your long-term plan. So if you pivot into this, you should be thinking at some point, oh yeah, it would be much easier if I didn't have to hand count this stuff. If everything was, you know, in a central location, all the products were stored in a central location, and whenever somebody bought one, it updated. You know, you could show product count to the customer on the e-commerce store. You wouldn't have to manually update it. You know, so there's a lot of efficiencies that can be had, you know, down the road. But like Ginger said, I think right now it's just a pivot and getting things set up quickly, getting the store running, start getting some sales in, and then with the plans of, you know, I want to integrate with my POS, my inventory management system, and such.
Great, thank you. I have one more for Soulku for both of you. You spoke about Klaviyo and how much you love that. Can you give a little more insight on that? Like who it would be good for? Is it just a shelf-stable product? Ginger keeps talking about different kinds of products. Would that be good for all products? Or give us a little insight on that, please.
So Klaviyo is an email marketing company. And I think you can get very much, if you're just starting out, you can look at a company like MailChimp. There are lots of them out there. I think we ended up with Klaviyo partially because our marketing gal was really familiar with it, and also just because of the numbers that we were dealing with. What we love about Klaviyo, and I know you can get this through MailChimp as well and some other email marketing campaign or email marketing companies, is that you can really build out these flows, as Allison mentioned. And we have found that we make more sales off of the flows than we do off of our regular emails. So the flows are things like when someone abandons a cart, they'll get an email within 4 hours that says, hey, I saw you were looking at this. Are you still interested in buying it? And then 24 hours later, if they haven't purchased it, they'll get another email that says, hey, here's a discount code for this thing.
Right.
We also have flows that are like member signups. When someone signs up for our email, they'll get a first email that will introduce them to our company. And then a week or so later, they'll get an email that points out something really specific about us, that everything is made by moms at home on their own time, or meet our nonprofit partner, or we're eco-friendly and here's why. So all of those, they're great for anybody, any sort of business that you have. The shelf stability doesn't matter at all.
Okay.
It's just continuing to reach out to the people. And it's a select list too. I wouldn't ever recommend buying a list. I know that that's something that people can do. I think that's really, it's not a very successful way to go. If you can get 10 people who are engaged with your company and interested in your company, it's better than 1,000 who are just random email addresses that you just have access to. We've just worked really hard to understand all the ins and outs of email marketing and what creates successful campaigns. And I agree with Ginger as well. Right now, people want happy and light, and they want something sitting in their inbox that's going to make them feel good, or that's going to make them inspired, or that's not going to be like the next COVID-19 update.
Right.
And so knowing who you're talking to and understanding what's happening in the world, and then really not being tone deaf, sending out emails that, and even if it's just a picture and like a nice little quote, you're still staying top of mind. You're offering a service. You're giving them like a little bit of relief just for a minute, and continuing on with your brand, your messaging as a brand. We're here to be in service, and we're constantly thinking about that. How can we develop more emails, more contact with our customers, and be in service in doing them, and not just necessarily making a sale, but, having a long-term relationship with these people. And I think something like Klaviyo is really helpful for that.
Great. Okay. That is all the questions. Those are all the questions that I've gotten. Did I cover everything? Does anybody have any last info they really can't wait to share?
Amy, I'll say real quickly. I know like when we first started, we used Square, and I think a lot of like smaller businesses use Square. For those that are already set up using Square as their point of sale, Square also offers, it's a much smaller kind of world than what Elisa just talked about, but Square offers that for any of those, like you can do that same kind of like email campaign, reaching out to your customers through Square without going through a different platform. And so I think, if you've got that right now, that's a great place to start, is just using what you have and what you're familiar with. You just have to dig around a little bit to find it on there. But once you find it, it's really user friendly. And it's a great starting point.
Nice. That's a great tip. Okay. Thank you all so much. Thank you for spending your time with us this morning. I thank you for your expertise. We really appreciate your energy into this. And for those of you listening, don't forget you can look on the Chamber website, ashevillechamber.org, for future webinars. Things coming up. We have at least 2 a week. If you need any extra resources during the coronavirus time, please don't hesitate to log on. If there's any info that you need specifically, you're welcome to contact any of us directly. Again, thank you all very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sean.